All right, today we are diving into a really powerful mental model for getting around in this crazy, complex world of ours. It's called the theory of error, and honestly, it promises to turn that feeling of being totally confused into, well, a sense of clarity. It does this by completely reframing how you think about mistakes. So let's get right into it.
So let me just ask you something right off the bat. What if making a mistake wasn't actually a failure at all? What if it was something totally different? Maybe a signal or just a piece of data? Or get this, what if it's actually a solution that you're just looking at from the wrong angle? Just hang on to that thought for a minute.
So, first, let's talk about the problem. Why our world can feel so incredibly chaotic. To really get this theory, we have to understand what it's trying to solve. And I think it's a feeling we all know, that sense of being completely overwhelmed, where everything just feels messy and random.
And here's the first big idea. It is totally 100% normal to feel confused. According to this theory, the reason we feel confused is because we are in a state of chaos. That's just the default setting. So if you feel that way, you're not doing anything wrong. In fact, you're just accurately seeing the world for what it is.
Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. The theory completely redefines what confusion is. It's not just a feeling, you see. It is an error. Think of it like a warning light on your dashboard. And that uncomfortable, kind of risky feeling you get when you're confused, that's the alarm bell telling you, hey, whatever map you're using to navigate right now, it's not working. Okay, so if we're living in chaos and our own confusion is an error message, then what on earth are we supposed to do about it? Well, this is where the new idea comes in. This is the theory of error. It's a new tool, a new way to manage all that chaos, and it starts by completely rethinking what an error even is. And look, this theory packs a 1-2 punch. This isn't just about feeling better about messing up. No. First, it completely reshapes how you perceive an error. Then, once your perception shifts, it completely transforms how you actually go about solving it. So here's the big pivot. Traditionally, we see an error as this fixed, solid thing. It's a failure, the end. But the theory of error says, nope, not true. An error is entirely variable. What's a huge blunder for you right now might be a stroke of genius for someone else, or it might even be the right move for you just tomorrow instead of today. It all depends on perspective. And that brings us to the absolute heart of the matter, perspective. This isn't just some small part of the theory. Perspective is the engine that makes the whole thing go. The angle you take when you look at a problem radically, fundamentally, changes your ability to even understand it, let alone solve it. So the theory lays out 2 levels of perspective. Think of the low-level perspective as being stuck in the weeds. You're zoomed way in, and from down there, problems look like giant, solid walls, unmovable. But then, there's the high-level perspective. Imagine you're flying in a helicopter looking down at the same landscape. Suddenly, you can see all the paths around the wall. Viable solutions start popping up from every angle, things that were completely invisible to you from the ground. Okay, the high-level perspective sounds pretty great, right? I mean, who wouldn't want to operate from there all the time? So the obvious question, the one you're probably thinking right now, is how do we do it? How do we actually get into that helicopter and make the shift? Well, it breaks down into a pretty simple 3-step process. First, acknowledge your confusion. Don't push it away, see it for what it is, an important signal, not a personal failure. Second, relabel the error. This is the creative part. You have to actively ask, from what other viewpoint is this so-called error actually something else entirely? And third, extrapolate. From that brand new perspective, you start to build a new solution. So what's the end game? Why go through all this mental gymnastics of shifting perspectives and relabeling things? What is the ultimate goal of adopting this kind of mindset? What's the payoff? At the very heart of this theory is a really profound idea. That problem solving, it isn't just something we do when we have to. It is our fundamental function as aware, conscious people. It's how we navigate the chaos. You could even say it's what we're here for. And when you embrace that function, you set off on what the theory calls an extraordinary path. And the goals along this path are pretty simple, but they're also incredibly profound. The goal is to be right, which means achieving clarity, to be safe, which means gaining control, and to be organized, which means creating order.
Because the ultimate result, the feeling we're all really chasing, is that incredible, satisfying click. When all the puzzle pieces finally fit together and you get that sense of putting everything into place. So I'll leave you with this to take with you. Take a look at your own life, right now. Think about one thing you've been labeling as a mistake or a problem. And now ask yourself this question. From what totally different perspective, from whose different point of view, could that error actually be a solution?